Now, Ben, thanks so much for joining us here on Fox Sports News. Great to see you.
Hey Sam, how are you? Thanks for having me on.
Let's launch straight into the Tino question. He has only committed his allegiance to Australia just for 2025. Is that a good sign for Samoa that he's yet to make a decision for 2026? And could you feel a switch to the blue and white happening for the upcoming World Cup?
Yeah, it's great that he's made a decision regarding the Gold Coast, first of all. But from a Samoa perspective, we'd be really excited about working with Tino in World Cup 2026. We'll talk with our senior players about that opportunity. But, as always, when we make these decisions, we go where the player's heart is. And, if Tino's heart is with Samoa, yeah, we'd welcome him with open arms, that's for sure.
Have you had conversations with Tino yet? And how do you go about convincing someone like Tino to play for Samoa?
We haven't had conversations recently. We had previously to him choosing to stay with Australia. But, what you need to do is you just need to represent or present the opportunity that's there, talk about the type of footy we want to play and the culture and heritage that we're building in and amongst the team. And at the end of the day, Tino and his family need to make that decision. But, we feel that we've got a really good professional environment, and we think that we can add to Tino's game and he can add to ours.
Let's stick with the World Cup, because I think that's a pretty good pitch that you put out there on Fox Sports News to Tino just then. But with the World Cup, are there any players on your radar this season that could be in line for an international call-up for Samoa?
Yeah, we've done a pretty good job over the last few years to bring some young players through the team, and I'll be looking to those young players in 26. Young guys like Benaya Yoelu at the Roosters and Blaze Talangi at Penrith. We've got young Larkin King Tonga over at the Dragons, and I'll be keeping a close eye on all of those guys. And then we've got some of our stalwarts like Junior Paulo and those types of guys that will hold up the fort for us. But we're looking for young guys to stand up throughout the year and put their best footy on, because you want to pick a form team going into the World Cup.
Let's go back to Tino with an NRL view, not just for Samoa, an international view now. But let's talk about his NRL lens. He's recommitted now to the Gold Coast. How big of a coup is that, do you think, for the Titans, and especially for new coach Josh Hannay ahead of his first season in charge?
Yeah, if you're Josh Hannay, you'd be feeling quite stoic at the moment, I would imagine. I think that's a pretty exciting thing for the Gold Coast and their fans, to have the leader of your club and one of the leading players in the competition to commit to the club long term. I think that would bring great joy and great excitement around the players and the fans. As I said, Tino's one of the elite players in our competition. So for those players around him that he leads on a week-to-week basis, it's really going to give him a lift leading into the season, and also for Josh as a coach as well, particularly being a first-up coach in the NRL.
Let's stick with NRL news, and the big one yesterday were some big rule changes that were announced. As a coach, how much is that going to change the game in your opinion, and how teams in particular are going to play, especially with the expanded interchange bench? I'm interested in getting your thoughts on that.
Yeah, two key rules, I think. I think the first one is the 6 to go outside the 20 now rather than outside the 40. I think that's going to create a lot more ball in play during the season this season. And, the NRL sees rugby league as an entertainment game, so more ball in play means more entertainment. So I think that's going to be interesting. There'll be less set piece in the game, a lot more ball in play, a lot more opportunities for the teams to move the ball on momentum. So that's going to be a really interesting rule change. I think the 6-man bench is a good one too. I think, obviously it cares for players and gives players the opportunity to come off with head knocks without any pressure on them, and to boo more players in your squad so that young guys can come in and have a shot at the big time without too much pressure on them. So I think that it puts a lot of good things into the game for us, and it also protects player safety as well.
Are you worried at all that it kills the role of your utility player?
Yeah, I thought about that one a lot, but I don't think it does. I think that most teams will need to carry a 6-7-1 utility on their bench. They may have a hooker who is an outright hooker as well, but I think that utility player, particularly as the halves and the fullback, and particularly as a back rower or a centre, I think that utility role will still live in the game. And obviously 6 players there make it a little bit easier, so you don't have that player that has to play every position. But I think the utility will survive.
You have a few hats. Let's put on your Bears assistant hat at the moment. But obviously still a full season until you guys enter the competition. But how is the excitement building amongst the club, and especially since the announcement of some good signings for the Bears?
Yeah, the excitement's really high, Sam. It's been really awesome. Been over in WA on and off throughout the last few months, and the fans are super excited. The people of WA, the people in North Sydney, but just general rugby league fans are pretty stoked to have the Bears back into the competition. We got some really good quality positive results when we released the logo a few weeks ago, and people were very happy with how it looked. It's quite fierce, and that makes me happy as a coach. But we've been able to sign some really quality players, and we'll continue along that lines in the coming weeks.
Yeah, cannot wait for them to enter the competition. Ben, it's been great getting your insights. Thanks so much for joining us here on Fox Sports News.
Thanks again. Appreciate the time.